And veterinarian Dr. Michael Fleck is they talk all things pets, from animal health and wellness, money-saving tips, celebrity gossip, breaking news, and more. Their expert guests are in the know and in the now. To learn more about this unique program and its hosts, tune into the show on the TAN Talk Radio Network.
You may be owed some money. After 911 and 411, call 541. That's 727-541-1741. Call Gulfstream Motorsports for a diminished value report. Due to my 28 years experience in the auto salvage business, I'm very good with wrecks. So if your car's been involved in a wreck, call me for a diminished value report. Call 727-541-1741. You may be owed some money for the lost value of your repaired vehicle. And visit us at GulfstreamMotorsports.com.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Patsy with a Z. Welcome to Joy on Paper, a program for writers and those who dream of writing, and for everyone who wants to know the story behind the book. Coming to you from glorious Clearwater, Florida, the perfect place for writers to write and readers to enjoy a good book. And although it's a little bit cold here, we're not going to complain because we know everybody up north, you're all freezing up there. But it is a perfect day for a cozy mystery, and so I have the perfect one for you today. And I am so happy to welcome back to Joy on Paper, Valerie Burns, VM Burns today, because she's got she has to wear different hats for all the different things she does. But VM Burns has written it's book number 8 in her wonderful mystery bookshop series, and it is called Book Club to Death. Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Patsy. Great to be here.
Oh, wow. I'm glad. Where are you? You're freezing?
Well, I am in North Georgia, right next to Chattanooga. So for us, it's cold, about 36 right now. So that's cold for us. But again, I'm not complaining because my family in Indiana and Michigan have it a lot colder.
Oh, they do. I know. My brother had 6 feet in I think 12 hours or something. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're not going to complain. But we do love Michigan. And your book the series, of course, is set in Michigan. And I always know, and I love the title, by the way, Booked Club to Death. And the cover is gorgeous. It has, of course, poodles on it, your 2 beautiful poodles, and a wonderful, wonderful Kensington cover. So one of the things I always know when I get one of your books, the minute I see that Nana Jo calls, says in this book, and it's right on the first page, Samantha Marie Washington. And when you hear Nana Jo say Samantha Marie Washington, you know you're in good, you're going to have a great read.
Yeah, I love Nana Jo, and I think it's bringing back memories because I don't think as a child I heard my middle name unless I was in trouble. So.
I think that's for all of us. When there's a certain tone when they use the middle name, you've got to perk up and pay attention.
Exactly. So I had to include that with Samantha too.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Of course, Nana Jo is just such a wonderful character. Naturally, this book would appeal to me immediately because it is set in a bookstore. And of course, ever since I read Carolyn Hart and her wonderful series, she was one of my first guests. She was, I think, number 3, my 3rd guest on the program. And back almost 8 years ago when I started. And Carolyn was, is just such a wonderful, wonderful author. And her Death on Demand series, of course, is based on a bookstore in a fictional town. And so you've created also a bookstore in a fictional town. So tell us about this bookstore.
So Samantha Washington and her husband had normal jobs. She used to be an English teacher, a high school English teacher, and she and her husband loved reading cozy mysteries, and they always dreamed that one day they would quit their jobs, they would buy a bookstore, and they would open a specialty bookstore, a mystery bookstore where, the only thing they sell are mysteries. And when Samantha's husband, Leon, dies, she realizes life is too short not to live your dreams, and waiting for your ship to come in, or for one day when you hit the lottery or the planets are all perfectly aligned to do it. So she takes the insurance money and she sells her house and she quits her job and she buys the building and she opens a bookstore, Market Street Mysteries. And so that's how she got to be a bookstore owner. And she also dreamed about writing British historic cozy mysteries. So every book in this series includes 2 mysteries to solve. You have the mystery that Sam is living through, and then you also have the British historic mystery that Sam is writing.
That's what makes these books so much fun. This dual, very much like Tasha Alexander does dual, storylines in her book. She has Lady Emily, and then she always does another character based on the location where Lady Emily is visiting. So I think this is so much fun. And you come out with clever ideas for both mysteries. And, it's enough to come out with a good idea for one mystery, but you have to come out with 2.
I do. It seemed like a good idea at the time when I first started. When I thought about it, I thought, oh, this would be fun to read, because I love reading mysteries. So a lot of times I just look at things from, I think I'd like to read a book like that. I didn't necessarily realize the challenges I would face with actually writing that book. So that's been, something I've had to learn how to do and how to get over. And honestly, there's usually some type of a tie-in between the book that she's writing and what she's going through. So it helps her solve the mystery, and it helps me solve the mysteries.
Well, for both mysteries, you have really interesting premises. I will tell you that.
Thank you.
So, for the historical one, now when you're writing them, I mean, do you sort of physically feel a change in your body language, or when you're writing the English or the British story?
I don't think so. But, I do feel like my tea intake increases when I'm writing the British historic cozy mystery.
And I reach for a cup of tea when I get to them. So it works out very nicely. So what do you want to tell us about the mystery in this? Well, the 2 mysteries. What do you want to tell us? Without, we're not going to give away anything, but let's hear about the storylines. Okay.
So in the contemporary mystery that Samantha Washington is living through, she is dealing with a storm that hit North Harbor, Michigan, the fictitious town of North Harbor, and it causes damage to the local library. And Sam wants to help, and she finds out that she can help by hosting one of the book clubs. So she agrees to do that. Seems like a very simple thing to do. And the leader of the book club, the Mystery Mavens book club, is a woman named Delia Marshall. And Delia is very demanding. She is just she's just a very difficult person to get along with.
And a fun
she rules that book club with an iron fist.
And a fun character to write, I think.
I think so too. I think that the more, over the top a character can be, the more fun it is to write them, and then probably for me to kill them. So,
yeah, that's nice.
so Sam, and she hosts the Mystery Mavens book club, and she gets into a big dispute with Delia, and she caves into a lot of her demands because Delia is also a book reviewer. And so the book that Samantha first started writing, in the very first book in the series, is about to be published, and she really doesn't want to get on Delia's bad side. So she gives in to a lot of her demands, but when things just go over the top and she can no longer get along with Delia, there's a big blow up, and then Delia is found dead in the bookshop. So Sam is a prime, she's the prime suspect.
And the method of the method that you came out with, I thought was very clever. I enjoy. You always look for fun ways to kill people, and this was such a perfect way.
There is a big clue on the cover of the book, I guess, that kind of gave it away. My editor was like, I think we're going to put that on the cover. So.
Yeah, I thought it was great. A great idea. I mean, if you're going to go, if you're, the head of a mystery book club, that's the way to go.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. And that's a hefty book right there. So she did a lot of mysteries. So.
Well, it's nice to pay homage to Agatha Christie because, of course, all of the mystery writers are have to be grateful to what she did and paved the way for everybody.
I am a huge Agatha Christie fan. She was one of the first. That's kind of the book that got me started with my love of mysteries, was reading her books. And when you look into everything that she's written, not only as Agatha Christie, but also Mary Westmacott, where she wrote books also, and then she also had plays, short stories. So huge, prolific writer.
Well, she was fantastic, and she was also the one responsible for me not only falling in love with mysteries, and I was quite young, and I remember that in a way she saved my life because a bunch of friends wanted me to go to this protest. And it was, the time when people were protesting everything. Well, they're still protesting, but in those days they were protesting, and everybody wanted me to join in, and I didn't want to protest anything anyway, but I was reading an Agatha Christie, and I was reading one of the Tommy and Tuppence mysteries.
Oh, I love those.
Don't you love them? I think they're so great. And I just I remember looking at them and said, I'm reading. I'm not going anywhere. And they actually went to that protest, and was in Berkeley. It was a big sort of riot. It turned into a kind of riot kind of thing.
Oh my goodness.
And people were, knocked on the head. But there I'm very happily reading Tommy and Tuppence and eating a digestive biscuit with tea.
Well, I think Agatha Christie probably saved a lot of people's lives, but that is a wonderful story.
Well, and of course, I was so happy when I finally, I moved to England, and I lived in England a long time. And it was always so much fun to just go around and look at the locations, of course, where some of her books were set. And she was just such a fabulous woman, and with all of this prolific writing that she's given us. And it's so hard to believe that, she was born in 1890.
It is amazing. And, when I went to England the first time, I got an opportunity to see Mousetrap, one of her plays that she had written. And it was the longest running play ever. It finally the only thing that stopped it was COVID.
Yeah.
When the theaters had to shut down for COVID, that's when it stopped running. I mean, it's just remarkable that after all of this time and all of these years, I think she died in 1976 or 77, and her books are still relevant today, and they're still interesting.
And they're so fresh. When you read them,
yeah,
the writing is so fresh, and it's just wonderful. And of course, I saw when I was living in England, whenever somebody would come over from America, to visit me, I would take them to the Mousetrap. So I must have seen it about 10 times. And I never got tired of it. And I always loved the reaction of people, when we would go to the theater. Of course, theater in England is something special, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
In those days, I think nowadays they've sort of Hollywoodized it, and it's not quite as much fun. I think last time Lee Child was on the program for his birthday interview, he mentioned that, it was so intimate in those days when we were there and so affordable.
Yeah. I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's affordable anymore, but you know what? It's well worth the money, especially when you get to see a musical or a play.
Oh, yeah.
That really engages you.
And of course, you always have British actors who are always tremendous. It doesn't matter what they're in. So your love for England, the fact that you love to write these mysteries set in England, where did that come from? From Agatha Christie? From where else?
Probably. I traced back my love of cozy mysteries to reading The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. I remember reading that book. I must have been maybe 12, and I stumbled across it at the library, and I just remember reading that and thinking, holy cow, I didn't see that coming. This is awesome. And so then I got another one of her books, and then there were none. And I remember, very clearly starting that book, and you've got 10 people on an island and they start to die, and I remember thinking, well, whoever's left at the end is obviously the murderer, and she kills them all. And I thought, are you kidding me? How do you do this? How do you have a mystery where you kill them all? And just brilliant. I mean, I was just totally suckered in at that point, and so I decided I got to read everything. So I started just looking for everything that she had and everything I could read. And when you read British mysteries, you find so many things that we just don't have or just don't do in the United States. Stones, for instance. Those were something that I thought, okay, I'd like to try this. And then maybe you find one in the U.S. and it's this dried up thing that tastes nothing like a real stone. And I had no idea what clotted cream was and didn't even know how to say treacle tart, what that was. So it really opened up a lot of experiences for me. And so I think that's I wanted to incorporate that into my writing. And so, in the Mystery Bookshop series, Sam dreams of having a mystery bookshop and writing British historic cozies because that's my dream. I want to one day own a bookstore that sells mysteries and also writing British historic cozy mysteries.
Well, you're on your way, I can tell you, because your British cozy mystery is also. I love the premise. I got such. I always like British cozy mysteries. I love them. But when I got the premise of this one, I thought, oh, this is so cute. I would never have thought of it. It just shows how brilliant you are.
Oh, thank you. I think that, I tend to watch a lot of British historic cozies on television, and I read them. And I think, I also enjoy reading documentaries about the royal family. So I this book, the
Who's saying hello to us there? Who's that?
oh, that's Chloe. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We love dogs here. We love dogs. We love Chloe.
Yeah. She's a poodle, of course. So she's trained me over the past 2 years in the pandemic that when she hears me talking, she knows if she starts barking, I give her a treat to shut her up. Of course, now she's gotten a little chunky, and we've been trying to wean her off of the treat, but she's still manipulating me. That's the problem with poodles. They're very smart dogs.
Well, we don't mind. We love hearing a barking dog. So back to the premise for this cozy. It is cute. So you're watching all of these, all these documentaries about the British royalty, and then you get a very clever idea that I don't think anybody else has ever come out with.
Well, I'm sure someone somewhere probably has, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. But the Marsh family is preparing for a christening, and they want to invite their cousin, who happens to be the king. But the war with Germany, everything's starting to heat up, and it's not a really good time for travel. So he offers to allow them to have the christening at Windsor Castle. So they all pack up and they go to Windsor Castle, but he also has an ulterior motive because a reporter who has been following the royal family has died, and it can be very embarrassing. And there are some clues that are leading to maybe a member of the royal family might have had something to do with it. And he knows that Lady Elizabeth has solved many mysteries in the past, and so he's hoping she can help figure out what happened here.
I thought it was so clever. It really reads so beautifully. I get a kick out of something like this so much because I see both what you've done here. You're such a fine writer. I was looking at, through your books. Of course, I've, admired your writing for a long time, but I also was looking at your blog, and I want to talk to you about one of the stories you write there about writing, the joy of writing. So I have to do some commercials, but you have to hold on, okay? And we're going to play, but I'm also going to play a book buzz. One of the things at the end of the year, and we're thinking about people, and we want to remember things. And I'm looking back at the 7 years that I have been, doing this program. And one of the guests that I had on the program very early on was Sue Grafton. And we had a lot in common. We were both in Hollywood at the same time. We both worked in laboratories, so we were sort of a lab nerds. So we could talk lab talk, and so it was always so much fun to have her. And Rita Moreau, who is also a cozy mystery writer, did a beautiful book buzz for what turned out to be Sue's last book. We had been planning, as a matter of fact, I had already talked to her about how she was going to be on, and we would have a big celebration when she got to Book Z. And of course, she passed away. But the important thing is, great books are great books. And I want people to remember her. I want people to remember her books. And so I want to play this book buzz that Rita Moreau did for her. We'll do commercials. And please, Valerie, hold on, and we'll talk about the joy of writing when we come back, okay?
Okay.
This is
is Rita Moreau reporting for Joy on Paper with the latest on Book Buzz. If you are like me as a fan of Sue Grafton, you are wishing there were more letters in the alphabet. Having followed Kinsey Milhone from the beginning with A is for Alibi, you've got to ask yourself, will Kinsey find closure or love? Sue Grafton first introduced Kinsey in the Alphabet series all the way back in 1982. And since then, both writer and heroine have become icons and international bestsellers. Sue Grafton is back with her 25th book in her Alphabet series, Y is for Yesterday, and it's due out on August 22nd. Here's the buzz. This will be the darkest and most disturbing case Kinsey will tackle. A vicious sociopath with a grudge against Kinsey. In this book, you have to ask yourself, will Kinsey discover what Y stands for? Chilling. Y is for Yesterday. Get it online. This is Rita Moreau reporting for Joy on Paper. For more of my suggestions on the mysteries you should not miss, click on Book Buzz with Rita Moreau. Buzzing off for now.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you ready to eliminate your home energy bill? Well, get ready to harness the sun. Go EHS, Effective Solar Solutions by Efficient Home Services. With no upfront costs, you can save money on your utility bill and even eliminate your electric bill altogether with EHS Solar. Call EHS, the #1 solar installer nationwide. We know how to customize your home. EHS handles every project in-house with no subcontractors. Remember, no upfront costs, tax breaks, and the best company in the business, Efficient Home Services. Schedule an appointment today at 727-353-3757. Visit our website and download your free buyer's guide to going solar at www.goehs.com. Go solar, go savings, go EHS. Call 727-353-3757 today to talk to our experts.
Are you an author, an artist, an inventor? Then you need to protect your valuable intellectual property. You need Larson & Larson. We have the experience and knowledge to help you with all of your legal needs, from processing trademark, copyright, or patent applications to negotiating licensing agreements and handling litigation. The attorneys at Larson & Larson in Largo, Florida can help protect you. Call us today for a no-cost consultation at 727-546-0660 or visit our website at larsonpatentlaw.com.
Do you dread being called on to speak at meetings or family functions? Have you envied those who can sway an audience with well-chosen words? Do you know that people who speak well earn more money, earn more rewarding careers? Gain the confidence to master any speaking situation. Toastmasters will allow you to find your voice. Go to toastmasters.org to locate the club nearest you.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
This is Patsy with a Z, and I am back, and my guest today is Valerie Burns, or VM Burns, as she is known, with her series called Mystery Bookshop Mysteries, and the name of the book we're talking about today is Book Clubbed to Death. Hi, Valerie.
Hello, Patsy.
Okay, well, as I said, the Mystery Bookshop series is just fantastic. I love it. But of course, that is not your only series. And I was so thrilled, when you recently you came out with more. You are a busy, busy woman.
I am. I enjoy writing, and I also have a day job, and my coworkers have learned that if they make me mad, I kill them in my book. And so I think I have a whole lot more people. My list is real long. I think some of them are doing it on purpose to see how many times I can kill them. But I that's how I deal with my stress, is I kill people in my book.
Oh, that's fun. I'm sure they want to be part of it, the fun, because your other series, which I love this series. It's called A Delicious and Charming Cozy Mystery, Baker Street Mystery Books. And the last one, I think, was 2-part sugar, 1-part murder.
2-part sugar, 1-part murder.
And
yep,
with
that
a
was
lovely,
the first book in the series.
It's a beautiful cover. I love, of course, Kensington always does these wonderful covers. But with that one, you have, again, you have a dog. You are.
I love dogs.
Yeah, we know that. So that's a wonderful series. And the second one in the series is coming out in the spring?
June.
In June. Okay. So that gives us something else to look forward to. And but right now I want to tell people that Book Club to Death came out today, and it's a wonderful book. And, you know, when you're reading a cozy mystery, it really does make you feel cozy. I think you sort of tuck yourself into your favorite chair in bed and definitely with a cup of hot chocolate or tea. It is a wonderful read, and the book is. I want to tell you again, and for my listeners, it is so much fun to have this dual storyline that you have the contemporary story and the Victorian story. It's delightful, and Valerie, you do a great job with both of them. And I wanted to mention, I noticed that you dedicated this book to somebody special.
Okay.
Yeah, to Colonel Sandy, to somebody in the military.
Oh, you know what? So I had I did a event in Wetumpka, Alabama. They have a wonderful community. You might have heard about them a few years ago. The town was ravaged by tornadoes, and a HGTV show actually came and helped them to do some rebuilding. So they've been in the news a little bit. But Wetumpka also has a fundraiser for their library, Friends of Wetumpka Library. And one of they have authors, mystery authors come, and they do a event with lunch, and people buy tickets and sit and talk to authors. And then we have some panels. And one of the things that they do is they auction a character. So people who come to the event, they can bid on being a character in your book. And there's no strings. So they can't tell us what we can and cannot do to the character. If they win, we can do whatever we want to that character. And so I participated in that, and the gentleman who bought my character was actually named Don Nobles, and he wanted to buy a character for his brother-in-law, Colonel Sandy
Edge. Yeah.
And so he plays a role in the British Historic Cozy Mystery, and so that was why I dedicated the book to them. And what was really interesting, he told me some facts about his brother-in-law, and I actually found a video clip of him online, and I watched it, and I got some more insight into his character and personality. And I hope that when they read it, that they enjoy it, and that his Colonel Edge is okay with what I did to his character.
Well, I thought it was a delightful idea. It is a wonderful way to raise money for a library, for any group. And it's just, I thought it was very nice. And I love that you did put it as a dedication also, because it's wonderful when people participate in things like this.
It is. And it's always a wonderful event for such a small town. They really do a fantastic job. And I think it's called Murder on the Menu. And so if you ever get an opportunity to go to Wetumpka, check it out, and definitely check out the library. It is really a wonderful event.
Well, you know, when I was looking at your website, and I wanted to talk to you about this article that you wrote about The Joy of Writing. I thought it was so beautifully written and so heartfelt. You're, as I said, you're a terrific writer, but tell us about this article, The Joy of Writing.
Okay.
And just
I know I wrote
in general your joy, how it makes you feel to know, one, that you're bringing a lot of happiness to people with your stories, because for so many readers, and I want to really at the end of the year here talk about the readers a little bit. Readers, we love you. We love when you read books. We love when you write reviews on Amazon, and we love when you participate in events and go to, now that people can start going again to events. I know that a lot of authors are just overwhelmed and so happy when they do something like BoucherCon, for example, and the fans are there, the readers are there. It makes you feel good, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Writing is very solitary. You sit at home, in front of your computer, and it's just you and the words on the page, and it's not necessarily a team effort. So it's only when you go to events and you get an opportunity to talk to readers, or you get an email. Usually people will email you when they find a misspelled word on a page, or something didn't come out right, or they didn't like something. So it's wonderful when you as an author can get that feedback, and you find that people actually enjoy your books and they enjoy the story. So that can be very, very helpful for an author, especially for me. And so, it's hard, especially because sometimes you read negative reviews about your books, and it can really, drag you down, and you try to have a tough shell and, not take it personally, because books are subjective. What one person likes, someone else may not necessarily like, and it doesn't necessarily, resonate with them. But it is, it can be challenging when you read an article that, really, I don't know, rips apart your book or something you've done.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about that. I'm sure you don't get very many, and you shouldn't. But even the most famous authors, and a global best-selling author who was on my program not too long ago noted to me privately off the air that he had so many negative reviews, and unfortunately, Amazon put all the negative reviews at the front. Which is really, I think, a terrible thing to do, because he got lots of 5-star reviews, but somehow those 1 stars come up. But it's not something you have to worry about, because you have a terrific fan base. You are such a wonderful. There's something I find in your books, and I read a lot of cozy mysteries. I read a lot of mysteries, but from the day I started reading your books, I found that I liked you. Maybe it's Samantha, or I don't know, but I just liked you, and I thought, wow, this is so cool that I'm reading a book where I like the author, and I felt there's a kindness, and it's funny that you wrote this article. I don't know if you were thinking about me, but you did write this article, and you call it The Joy of Writing. And I thought, yeah, she's got that joy in her. Your writing it's not only do you paint a picture, which is what an author has to do, particularly in a cozy mystery, when you have different settings, you really have to paint a picture to bring the reader into that area so that they feel like they're part of the book. But there's also, there's a kindness that runs through your characters. You have so many who are are just good people. And I felt always when I started your books, I felt, I would just, love to know Nana Joe. She's just somebody I relate to, and I love her. And I think that this comes through and shines through in all of your books, that you have these warm and loving characters, because I think you're probably a very loving and kind person yourself.
Well, thank you so much. That is very, very kind. I appreciate it. I think that what you are picking up on is my joy of mysteries and my love of cozy mysteries. And, I try to write the books that I would want to read as a cozy mystery lover. So I tend to write people that I want to read about. I love Nana Joe's spunkiness and her feistiness, and I also love how Samantha is, willing to step out and do something different and follow her dreams. And I wish one day I had that courage to just, drop everything and open that mystery bookshop. Maybe one day. But, I think that is, I've noticed over the books and in that joy of writing, I mentioned that I'm currently working on book 20. And I think it's the joy of writing. I enjoy it. I love mysteries. I love creating characters and scenes and just, being a part of that world.
And of course, with this now being on book 20, you have to have some heck of a discipline in your life with working full time and writing all these books.
Yeah, I feel like, so writing is something that is important to me. I enjoy doing it most of the time. And I think when something's important, you make time for it. You have to make time for the things that are important, the things that fill your bucket. And so writing does that for me. And so I try to write every day. My goal is if I could write 1,000 words a day, then that's a good day. Some days I don't get 1,000. But if I can, if you think about it, if you wrote 1,000 words a day, that's 365,000 words a year. It's a lot of words.
That's it.
So that's the discipline that it takes, is just to sit down and to, put your fingers on the keyboard and actually get the story told and get it written. And so I feel like it's important to know yourself, to know what works for you, and to do that. So I know that I've learned over the years that if I take a break, if I take a month off, it's really hard for me to get back into the rhythm of writing again. And so if I write every day, then it's sort of like, eating an elephant. You take a one bite at a time. If I just write every day, then I get in that habit, sort of like people who exercise. I wish that was me. But, if you exercise every day, then you miss it when you're not doing it. And so writing becomes that same thing. When you write every day, if there's a day where you're not writing, then you miss it.
And also, you also have to, one important thing for a writer is a writer also has to be a reader. So
yes.
What are you doing? Do you read contemporary books, or do you go back and look at classics? What kind of reading do you do?
Oh, I love mysteries, and my to-be read pile is huge. So I try not to read new books when I'm writing, because I don't want anything to influence me. So when I'm working on a book, then I will typically go back and read what I call my old friends. So right now, because I'm working on a book, when I read, I go back and I'm reading Agatha Christie's Miss Marple short stories. I told you I'm a huge fan. I also like, Rex Stout. So these are books that are old friends that I've read multiple times, and I don't have to, be concerned that there's anything that's going to impact my stories. And then when I do take a break, then I read for pleasure, and I will read both historic and contemporary. If it's got a mystery in it, I'm sucked in immediately, but I love cozies.
Well,
so I try to read as many cozies as I can. I've made a lot of friends who write cozies, and I want to read their books. I want to be supportive. Sometimes, a friend will ask if I will write a cover blurb for their book. So when I'm in between books, I'll read for pleasure, and I get to really just indulge into a totally different world. And I just love that.
Well, at Christmas time, I always go back and read Dickens' Christmas Carol, because there is nothing like reading it. It is so much better than any movie even. So I always do that. And during the Christmas week, I was reading Tasha Alexander's novellas. She's written 5 novellas about Christmas, all set, in Victorian England with Lady Emily. And those are fun. So yeah, sometimes it's funny, I get a lot of books, but there are those ones that you go back to and you just love it. I'm so happy you mentioned Rex Stout, because wow, what an influence he is on writing.
Yeah. I mean, I love his Nero Wolfe series. And Tasha Alexander, she's great. And, so just when you finish a book and you just want more, and you just want to go back and visit those, friends again. And so that's what is so wonderful. Like Sue Grafton. I mean, going through that, how many times can you read through the alphabet and you can, learn something new every time?
Exactly. Oh, she was so sweet. I so enjoyed talking to her. But, I want to thank you so much for being on Joy on Paper today. It's a release date, which is always an exciting thing for an author, right?
Yes, it is. It's very exciting and scary at the same time.
Okay. So I want to, again, the name of the book is Book Clubbed to Death, and it's by V.M. Burns, and it's available. You can get it today. It's online, and I'm sure also in Barnes & Noble, because Barnes & Noble loves to carry Kensington books, and I think mostly because the covers are so great. And the cover on this one, I love it, with the poodles, and of course, the weapon of choice for a really great cover. And it is truly the weapon. And by the way, you've been nominated for something. I forgot to mention that.
Yes. 2022 was a fantastic, amazing year. I got nominated for a Edgar Award for a short story that I wrote. And it's like amazing, because it's the only short story I've ever had published, and it got nominated for an Edgar Award, and I'm just so floored. And also I got nominated for an Anthony for that same short story. So this was a really good year. There's so many amazing books and short stories that are published every year, and out of all the thousands that to find that my story resonated with people was just remarkable. I was just so honored.
And where can people see that story?
It is actually in an anthology, Midnight Hour. It's by Crooked Lane published it, and 20 writers of color all submitted books, and every story happens at midnight. So there's something that happens at midnight.
Okay. And the name of the short story is, just to remind people?
The Vermeer Conspiracy.
And that's a great title. So The Vermeer Conspiracy, and I will put that also on my website so people can check that out too, because I'm sure all of the stories are great. But everybody get book club to death. It's a cozy mystery. Get all snuggly and warm and enjoy VM Burns. And your website is VM Burns, so that's real easy.
Yep, vmburns.com.
Okay. Again, thank you so much for being on Joy on Paper today, Valerie. Thank you.
Thank you, Patsy.
Okay, and a Happy New Year. Boy, oh boy.
Happy New Year to you.
Okay. Bye-bye now. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Oh, wow. She's so great. I love her. When you get a book where you just sort of sink into it, I feel like when I'm reading her books, I'm in the books, I'm in the zone, and it's just so wonderful. And she is delightful, and so happy that she was able to spend the entire hour with me, because I had another guest planned actually for today, but I enjoyed talking to Valerie because I love her books, and to get nominated, wow, for Edgar Award and Anthony Award, well, it means she's a great writer, Mystery Writer of America member, and definitely a wonderful, wonderful writer. And oh boy, it is near the end of the year. I was happy that I got to mention Sue Grafton. Please get her books. I don't want her to be forgotten. And I don't know, finally, I think, she never wanted to have her books made into movies or a television series, but I think they probably will be now. And I just suggest you read the books before they do that, because the books are fantastic. And I also want to, oh my goodness, I forgot to say, Lee Child has done a series for BBC Maestro, which is a series of lectures on writing. And of course, Lee Child knows something about writing. I guess, he's only the global best-selling author of 250 million books? I don't know, something like that. And it is on special for this week. I think only for $54, you can get his master course on BBC Maestro. All you have to do is type in BBC Maestro series. It's a program, and you can get it for $54. So it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you to learn from the real maestro. Wow. Can you imagine that? Learning from Lee Child. So I hope that you will do that. And again, I want to thank everybody for the lovely, lovely messages I got over the Christmas season, Hanukkah season. It was wonderful. I really appreciate all of that. And if you have any questions and any ideas of authors that you want me to invite to on Joy on Paper for the upcoming year, because we're going to have an exciting year, just write to me. It's at patsy.radio@gmail.com, patsy.radio@gmail.com, and tell me the authors that you want to see and hear on Joy on Paper. And also, if you have any questions for authors, you can send those to me too, and I will ask them when they are on the program. Wow, it's hard to believe. It's almost the end of the year. Everybody, stay safe out there. Don't go on the roads if you don't have to. Absolutely stay safe and stay warm. And again, just remember what I always, before I say that, I want to just one more time for Carol J. Perry. I want to thank Carol J. Perry for being so kind to Joy on Paper, and her Christmas book, High Spirits, is out. So make sure you get that too. And everybody, remember what I always tell you. One of the joys of life is to see your words on paper, to hear them spoken in an audible book, or if you're very, very lucky to hear those magic words, lights, camera, action, and your book will be turned into a major motion picture, a streaming video, or perhaps a series on the Hallmark Channel, like I am hoping for Carol J. Perry. Meanwhile, say something nice to somebody, and I will say something nice to Big Ed in the control room. Thank you, Ed, for everything. And he saluted me, and I saluted him, and I should have been a general. And everybody, if you have a chance, send a book to a veterans hospital near you. Veterans need books, and also to a children's hospital near you. Bye-bye.
WTAN, Clearwater,
FM 106.1,
WDCF, Dade City,
FM 102.3,
WZHR, Zephyrhills,
FM 104.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Clear.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Thousands of Americans are stuck at airports nationwide right now and struggling to get back home. 3,000 flights have been canceled. Most are with Southwest.
I've been here since yesterday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon trying to get out.
Stayed on the phone for about 3.5 hours to talk to a representative from Southwest, and I need to go back to work.
The airline blames bad weather and says disruptions will likely continue throughout the week. Meantime, people in Buffalo, New York are just trying to survive. Cassandra Garman's a pharmacy tech at Buffalo General Hospital. She left work early on Friday to get home, but got stuck in her car for almost 18 hours.
At one point in time, I'm like, I do not want to die out here alone in the cold around the holidays. My kids are at home by themselves. Like, it was a lot.
There are new water problems right now down south.
Many residents of Jackson, Mississippi have now been without running water for 3 days after frigid weather caused pipes to burst over the weekend. People are again fed up with the city's long-troubled water system.
It should have been fixed years and years ago, like back there in the 70s and 80s.
The water supply for the predominantly black capital city of Mississippi was out for a week in August after flooding from the Pearl River swamped the water treatment plant.
CBS's Jim Krasula reporting. A scary slip in California where a hiker fell nearly 200 feet near Cucamonga Peak. San Bernardino County Deputy Sheriff Doug Brimmer.
She made the peak, and on her way down is when she slid on ice about 200 feet. She initially slid feet first, and then she hit her head on a log, and she went unconscious.
Another hiker called for help. She's now recovering from head and neck injuries. A man suing Apple, claiming its watch is racist.
Alex Morales says the blood oximeter in the watch doesn't work well for Black people, which puts them at an increased risk for hypoxemia, which is a lower than normal amount of oxygen in the blood. The lawsuit claims for decades there have been reports that such devices were significantly less accurate in measuring the levels based on skin color, but they've gone unaddressed. He says because of this, Apple was able to sell the watches for a premium price. And if more people knew about the defect, they wouldn't have bought them. Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
Democrats want New York Republican George Santos to resign after he copped to padding his resume to win a House seat. CBS's Caitlin Hewitt-Burns.
Santos said he won't be deterred from serving his full term in Congress and said he intends to deliver on the promises he made during the campaign trail. He is slated to be sworn into Congress next week.
Local GOP officials say